Woodbury to your village board meeting on March 26, 2025. I am your mayor, Andrew Giacomazza. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence for Hector Caraballo, who lost his battle to 9/11 cancer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I love that, what was written on there. Okay. Not a lot of people here, but I'll start with public comment on agenda items only. Anyone wishing to speak on anything on the agenda? No? Yes? No? No? Okay, moving along. Administrative business. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the meeting held on March 13th, 2025? Motion. Seconded by Trustee Farrelly. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, approval of abstract. Jessica, will you please read the abstract? Abstract 19.
19 contains vouchers 2425, 2242 through 2425, 23253, and totals $988,026.10.
Okay, can I have a motion and a second to approve abstract 19 as read?
Motion.
And I have a second by Trustee Fryban at the end of the table. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, new business. Scheduled public hearing for local law 4 of 2025, amending the village comprehensive plan. Can I have a motion and a second to introduce introductory local law 4 of 2025, amending the village comprehensive plan?
Second.
All in favor?
Discussion? We don't have a microphone down here, so.
Hello? It's working.
It's already hot in here.
I just had the opportunity to read the updated version. As you recall, I was concerned about the draft version that was submitted. The new version adds some of the additional sections of it. However, everything in there is 17 years old. The maps show all this open space, which are now the green subdivision, SB4, all the other places. I think we're too far behind the time. We have about, I think, a 30% increase in the population. And this ought to really be more focused on what conditions presently exist, something that integrates the input from both the county and the Hudson Valley Greenway Consortium. In particular, on some of the properties we're even considering for potential open space. We have, for example, the golf course is still shown as a golf course, and of course we know that's really a problematic open space issue. I would really like to have this delayed until that document can actually be updated to correspond to the conditions in the village. I just think it's premature to have a public hearing on a document that we know is just too far from the past to really be useful in determining what we do in the next 10 to 15 years.
Okay. Thank you. All right, I have a motion and a second. Can I have an all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Down at the end?
No.
Matt?
Aye, but can I add too? I think there's a lot of good information in this document to start with. I do agree with Jim. I don't even think Brigadier is on this map and looking at it again. So maybe we could add some updates later on, hopefully, and continue maybe making it more of a living document, improving it as we go along.
Okay. All right, full one. Okay, can I have now a motion and a second to refer this local law to the Village Planning Board and the County Planning Board?
I'll make a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. James?
Nay.
Okay. All right, and can I have a motion and a second to schedule the public hearing for April 24th, 2025?
Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor again?
Aye.
Aye.
Nay.
Okay. Okay, that ends regular business. I would, at this time, if anybody in the public wishes to speak on anything, going once, going twice. Sandy, anything? Come on. You could shine. All right. Board comments we'll do right now. Going to the far end to Trustee Fryban.
Have nothing at this time.
Okay. Matt?
I'll be brief since we got to get to the work session. I'd just like to say the Climate Smart Group and the MW Sustainability Warriors had a very nice third presentation speaking session with Justin Wexler from Wild Hudson Valley. Spoke about Indigenous history and plants at the high school, and was, I'd say, a great success, very popular. And after that, we have I'm sure one of you will mention this, but we have a blood drive coming up this weekend for Mike Hansen. It's the 29th. And on Sunday, the 30th, we are doing the second Woodbury Climate Smart Committee trash flash mob cleanup. We're going to be doing that at the corner of Trout Brook, and I think it was 32. No? You know, Rob?
I think it's Smith Clove.
Smith Grove?
Either side.
Okay, Lisa had mentioned Trout Brook at our meeting the other night, so I wasn't sure. And then we have the next weekend, April 5th, is going to be the Repair Cafe. And that I have a little more info on because I have one of the little flyers. April 5th here in Village Hall, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. And please bring your broken items. We can fix clothing, wood. We're doing bike tune-ups, jewelry, and many different things. And we're also collecting old technology and computers to bring to the highway department and then recycle later. And on the April 12th, we'll also be holding a New York State Keystone Native Plants. That's also with Woodbury Climate Smart, and that's going to be at Woodbury Public Library. And with that, those are my comments. Thank you all.
Thank you, Trustee Fabro. Trustee Ciriello?
I have nothing.
Okay. Deputy Mayor Farrelly?
I just want to talk a little bit more about the blood drive that's going to be here this Saturday from 9 to 3. If you can, as you all know, that there's a shortage of blood in the Hudson Valley and New York State in general, so anybody that's able to, if you can, come and donate a pint of blood. And just remember, 1 pint of blood saves 3 lives. And, Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
All right. Jessica, anything? Anything from the department heads? No? Okay, that's right. Okay. Well, that ends regular business, okay? You came to the right meeting, okay? I'm going to sign and let you go because we're going to head into a work session, okay? Which you could stick around for, but quite honestly, it's certainly better than a sharp stick in the eye, but like barely better, okay? So at this time, I'd ask the board members to head over to the big table. If you wish to bring a chair with you, by all means, any kind of drinks, and you I'm going to come to, okay? Just stay there.
The food pantry's doing their pancake breakfast too. I forgot about that. April 12th. I feel like pancakes, but
He
that's
wants to go
Passover
back
too.
So offended.
Same weekend.
Rob, get her a comfortable chair.
Where's he want us to go? Where does he want us to go?
Over here, right?
Jess? He wants us to go over there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I was telling Rob
We're-
to get Sandy a comfortable chair.
Yeah.
But that should get a comfortable chair. That's what the meeting was about. You guys can sit down.
Alright, we're still live, people, let's go.
Need the mics there, right?
I will say, Chelsea Saturday.
I'll see you Saturday. No, thank you, buddy.
No, I meant John, and I didn't want to steal their spots.
I figured they would sit at the end there, because they're gonna come in and out, it's easy, to get in and out, but you all can sit, we can move
Oh.
the chairs on this side.
James, did you take your mic?
It's right here.
Oh, you know, we need to get you another mic. You need both of them.
We gotta.
Actually, Jessica, I got one now. Yeah. This works. There you go, sir. Thank you.
Jeffrey, this one's not like working, and I know how to use a microphone properly.
Really?
It's on and it's fully charged.
Okay.
It's number. It's fully charged. The battery's on number 3.
There's another mic down there.
Just stand around, guys.
You don't all have to sit on one side. Big tables. Huge tables. Spread out. Oh, all right.
Do you want the extension cord down there, or are you not needing?
I don't. I have a stand. So.
All right, who else?
Hello. Hello. Yep, that one's working.
Okay, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and
Make
gentlemen.
sure you speak up
And into the microphone.
and into the microphone. Jeff is going to be filming, so just want to make sure everybody is crystal clear when you speak. Desiree is going to be. Is it working, James?
This one is.
Yes, that one is. Yours is. That's James. Yeah, that's working.
That's working. Thank you for checking it.
Okay. So, this meeting will be brought to you by Desiree Podvin, and by the letter E and the number 9. So,
Okay.
with that said, start your engines.
Okay, so you were all just given a copy of the tentative budget by the date that was required by the state of New York. You can use the other one if you want.
James, move. Yeah, take the. That's
Move
it.
'em.
Leave that chair there.
Yeah, just leave it. Yeah.
Yeah, we've got plenty. If Chris Burke, when he comes in, can we give that to him?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so like I said, you all received the tentative budget via your email prior to the date required by state law, as well as in your packet for this evening's meeting. It is on the website as well. This is the tentative budget. The tentative budget consists of numbers that were discussed amongst the department heads and the mayor and myself. Any changes made to this budget has to have a motion and a second and approval and majority vote. Jessica has to record it for the minutes. And then this budget will become your preliminary budget, which is what your public hearing is for on April 10th. Your department heads are all here. We told the fire chief to be here between 6:30 and 7, because we figured by then we'd get to his, but he will be showing up. So just to give you an idea of where you're at right now with the budget as is, you are under the tax cap currently. So that's a great thing. You all received from me today as well the Standard & Poor's report that we got a AA plus rating, which is one below the highest you can get. And they praised the village on their fund balance and reserve balances, stating that, because of that, it shows that you have a healthy accountability for your taxpayers and that you prepare accordingly. So that's great. That all added to your bond rating. Our bonds that we took out, the $10 million bond, was bid today. It came in at 4.1398 or something like that. We budgeted 4.5, so I do have a couple of changes when we get to those funds to announce based on the fact that the budget I had to put together, I didn't have final numbers because we didn't have the debt bidded out yet, but our interest rate is 4.1628. I used 4.5 when I did the budget. So those will be changes that we're going to talk about and when we get to those funds. And again, like I said, we would need to make a motion in a second to amend the tentative budget, and Jessica, as village clerk, would have to record it. Does anybody have any questions about what I just said? Okay. So page 1 of the tentative budget is the summary page. Obviously, as we make changes, whether we do increases or decreases, these numbers will all change. But I wanted to give you a picture of where we are at currently, based on the tax levy as well. I did do a mock-up on each of your homes to give you an idea of where your taxes are, if you'd like me to tell you that. If not, we can just keep going and move on to the next page.
Move it along.
Okay, so first page, again, if you make any changes to the budget, these numbers are obviously going to change. So we could talk about this page if you'd like. This page also has the salaries for elected officials. I did not put any increases in for this year based on the mayor's suggestion. Any questions on page 1?
No.
Okay. Page 2, it's just your general fund. The top of the page, most of the page, is our revenues for the general fund. I've provided you with quite a bit of data on this page. The first column is what was actually received and/or spent when you get to the expenses section for fiscal year 22-23. The second column is the same for fiscal year 23-24. The third column is where we were at as of February 28th of this fiscal year. The next column is the budget as amended for 24-25. And the second to last column is what the tentative budget is proposed, and the last column is the difference between this year and the proposed year and the current year. So does anybody have any questions about any of the revenues for the general fund? And if you do, please use the microphone so that they can hear you at home loud and clear.
Actually, the first thing I wanted to ask you about, the sum total for actual, which was 228.24, doesn't include the 988,000 from this month's abstract, or not?
Nope, because this is March,
Right.
and this is through February 28th.
Okay. So the total down here is actually about 988 more than 7319.
Will be more than that.
Well, yeah, because we just paid bills today.
Yep.
But I had to give this to you by a certain date.
No, I just wanted.
Okay.
I'm just
Yep.
clarifying what I've seeing here.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I gave you the latest and greatest from when this had to be turned into you.
Okay.
So yeah, this says on top through February 28th. Okay.
You got another.
I'm ready for you when you are.
Okay. Well, I have a question on
Uh-huh.
sales tax, which I
Sure.
had indicated before. I'm trying to sort out the shift from the IMA shared amount to the current shared amount, which was effective January 1st. Is that correct?
December 9th.
Oh, even earlier.
It was effective December 9th, yep.
So the 700,000 that theoretically would be accrued from there to our next budget, or to the new budget, there's $700,000 additional, is there not?
Well, I don't know where, so $720 is what I'm increasing the budgeted amount by. So we budgeted 1.2 million in the current fiscal year that we're in right now. I am estimating 1,920,000 for next year.
Okay, I guess I'm looking for that.
It's
Number on here.
A1120.
The tentative, what's, am I?
May I approach you to show you in case? Okay. So this is this is last year's budget. Do you have this year's budget?
Did I mark it
Nope,
all?
that's the current year's budget. You need the budget that we're talking about for next year.
I can show
You can,
So
okay. Sorry.
this is what Desiree just went through. I don't know if anybody
Yeah.
can hear me. And this is, hold on, let me move it up one
Yeah.
more. There you go.
I may not need it.
This is the
Make up,
difference that you're looking for.
720.
Yeah, so we-
that's-
Yep.
Yeah, we
So
went
this is
from
what we
here to
budgeted
here.
this year. This is what I'm proposing for next year. The difference is 720,000.
Right, and I believe that was the number you were asking to find.
Correct.
Yep,
Okay.
but this is the current year's budget
I
that we are on
understand.
right now.
I-
Did you bring one next year's with you?
And it's not here.
Okay.
Can I make a copy?
I can go get you a copy if you want to give me a minute. I do not mind at all.
Notes on that one.
No. I will be right back. You may talk amongst yourselves.
Could I copy too? Actually, I just had it on the computer. I didn't
Sure.
get a physical one. But.
Yeah, Mike,
Thank you.
give me a minute to print them.
Apologies.
I just see that for a second. Because it was 720 was for this year, and next year it should be,
And this is where we were on line 1120, sales tax.
yeah.
So, and this is, going back to 22.
But this is, originally before, we were getting 50% of 2.9, which would be 1.85 plus 720, right?
I know.
No, that's,
So I can give it to you, Mr. Friday?
yeah.
Okay,
Oh, thank you.
all right.
I probably.
The same line, that's the same line, I'm still trying to,
That should look exactly like the one I have.
That's it, I want to be in the book club. Okay. So luckily, earlier today, I printed 2 copies that I did an error, so there you go. I must have been psychic, right? No, I was trying to print myself a copy single-sided, and I kept printing them double-sided, so
Oh.
there you go. So yours are double-sided, sorry. The only thing not included in your packet is the exemption report, because I didn't print that. Okay.
I'm still, there's 700,000 more coming in from December 8th until the beginning of June.
No.
It's 30% was the difference, right? 30%.
You're,
I thought they weren't doing it for the next.
no, okay. Y'all are going to confuse me. So it's from this, so we get 3 checks a year. Let me just get that in front of me because I don't want to speak wrong. So give me 1 second, please. Okay. We get 4 checks a year. We get one in August, November, February, and May. Okay? The February check that we just got was, it's a little confusing, this particular check, so just bear with me while I talk it out, okay? The town received a check, and I want to just recognize Councilwoman Capriglione, because she and I talked through this, and she had brought it to mine and Eileen's attention, and we're all on the same page now, but it's a little confusing, and inside the abstract, I think it was this abstract, there was a refund to the town, and that's part of it. So let me explain it. So normally the town gets a check, they split it in half, they give half of it to us, half of it to and they keep half. This particular quarter, it was a little wonky because of when the IMA expired. So from when the quarter, the county's quarter starts to December 9th, the town got all of that. From December 9th to when the quarter ended, the town only got the portion of the town's sales tax revenue from the county that is for the property that they have in Harriman. The village got all the rest. So then Eileen and I had a talk, and Sandy sent me some correspondence, which I was loving because that's great for audit trails. So what the town got and what the village got, we added together, divided it in half, divided it by 20% and 80%, and the town got 20%. So we're not going to realize the actual number this fiscal year because of how our fiscal year is versus the county's fiscal year, which is the town's fiscal year.
Understood.
Okay, does that make sense?
And just give me that number, that first quarter.
Okay.
The village number, the unplanned amount.
The first quarter?
For December 9th to,
Okay. So
I thought it was the end till,
That was the fourth quarter county.
Yeah.
Yeah. So on January 23rd, I'm sorry, on February 4th, we received $239,692.72 from the County of Orange.
Total, that's both.
Let me break it down for you, because it wasn't both, because like I said, the town gave us a check, the county gave us a check, and then I had to give the town a check.
Okay.
So let me break it down for you. February 4th, the county gave the village $239,629.72.
Okay.
The town gave us, on March 10th, $190,718.83, and I gave the town back $36,765.68.
Okay.
That's,
That was for the quarter
that was
from-
for the fourth quarter county.
Which is from, the date of the county's quarter is,
The county's quarter
Calendar-
calendar,
calendar-
I'm not
calendar.
sure how the sales tax calendar works with the county. I can only tell you when we usually get checks,
I see.
okay?
The next
So we
one-
will get one more check in May, in 2 months. And when that check comes, I have to wait till Eileen gets her check, and then Eileen and I will add up those totals together, do the math, and I will give her the difference. Correct, Sandy?
Yeah,
Yes. 80-20 split, right.
Do we
the
have,
way they're, can I talk or not?
I don't,
No,
No,
but
but-
you can, I have no issue
I'm just
with that.
confirming with you, since you and I have gone through it together.
So, the village said that you were gonna split it 80-20.
Correct.
But what you're getting is 94 point whatever percent, and we're getting 5.1 whatever percent.
Correct.
So the difference is basically you're paying us 14%.
Yeah. But we're going to have, Eileen and I will share documentation so that her audit trail matches and our audit trail matches.
So there won't be a check going both ways this next time. It'll just be the village to the town.
Correct. So based on that math, I am recommending $1,920,000 to be budgeted in our next year's budget, which is a $720 increase.
that's your estimate of both the addition from these 2 quarters that we're talking about before our budget?
That's my estimate based on the past 3 years' sale. I mean, it's very easy because we got 50-50. So you take 50 divided by, double it, and then 80%.
Right.
So yes, so I took, I did a 3-year average, and I came up with 1.920.
For the
Whole fiscal year,
for the fiscal year, June to June.
June 1st to May 31st.
Right.
Yes.
So that 1.9, in this case, whatever came in extra between December 8th and June, extra being the 30% additional the village took,
That's in the current year. We're talking next year.
where is that money recorded on the budget?
Well, we haven't received it yet, and that's in the current fiscal year. So in the monthly reports that I send you that shows you our current fiscal year status,
Right.
that's where it will be recorded.
Will be, so you don't,
I can't record it till I get it.
okay. But do you have an estimate of that? Because that's new money for going into this year's budget, right?
Yes, so that would be, so we're using, from our fund balance, we're using right now I'm using $535,000 to offset the tax levy. We are under the tax cap. Anything that comes in above what was budgeted will be used for one of 3 things. 1, to offset expenses that may have come in above budgeted. 2, to be put into reserve for future purposes, which again, we were praised for. Or 3, to be put into the fund balance to reduce taxes in a future year. That's where all surplus income
I was really
goes.
just looking at how the surplus is being accounted for, so we really won't know.
I
that.
can't account for it till I close out the fiscal year, and the fiscal year doesn't get closed out until the middle of August.
It'll generally be reflected in the fund balance that's
Correct.
increased by that amount. True?
Possibly, yes. But it also depends on how your expenses go. If your expenses have gone higher than anticipated, then it would be used to offset that.
It's just hard to track it if you split it up between,
That's how accounting works. I mean, that's why you get a very detailed report from me monthly that shows you where we are.
okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Does anyone else have any questions about revenues for the general fund?
Just the fire inspection fees?
The fire inspection fees. John, would you like to take a walk over to the table here? There was a microphone there for you, but I don't know what happened to it. Matt stole it. Fire inspection fees.
You're looking for the fee itself, the breakdown of the fees, or how?
The budget lines that are indicated here, it changed from 2022-23,
That was when it was implemented.
right, from 30,000, then actual in the following year was 123, then the actual to this year is 62, and the amended budget is 143.
For this year, that's what the previous building inspector submitted, yes. And we're not going to make that.
No, I don't know where he got that number from. We're shooting for 100,000 this year to be safe because it's not the easiest thing to collect sometimes, so.
And as a reminder, when this number was put in, I did express my concern about us even making that amount.
You did.
So-
I was there.
So this was actually a prior estimate
The
My
previous
preference.
building inspector put in. John has reviewed his, the fee schedule, and he's reviewed what he's issued so far, and he believes 100,000 is a more realistic number. Thanks, John. See you in a little bit. Anything else about revenues for the general fund?
still
Sure. Give me a number.
2401.
Interest and earnings, yes. I'm increasing that by $25,000. Of course, that all has to do with the market. We do have two banks that we use, that we invest our funds in. We use Provident, formerly Lakeland, here in town, and we use Webster, formerly Sterling, formerly Provident, over in Monroe. We have money in money market accounts. That's where a bulk of our money is. Right now, it's earning 3.6. It does
In those
fluctuate.
banks.
That's the only banks that we are allowed to use, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
that's what I'm trying to,
Yep. So the Provident Bank has our parkland fees and our reserves. That's earning 3% interest as of today. That number obviously fluctuates with the market and with the,
yeah, no, I say.
okay?
And the
And the Webster Bank is, one account is earning 3.06, one's earning 2.97. And again, that fluctuates with the market as
These are
well.
money market accounts, not just,
Those are money market accounts. We put a bulk of your money in those money market accounts because they earn higher interest, and we transfer money into the operating account to cover expenses at that time. So we do transfers about 2 or 3 times a month because we want to keep as much money in the money market as possible. Okay?
thank you.
You're very welcome. Anything else on revenues for general fund?
Mortgage taxes.
Mortgage tax, sure. Hit me.
Well, it seems to bounce all over the place. here.
It certainly does. That number comes from the county. That's not something we generate here in the village.
But they don't do an estimate of, the estimate was generated, again, in what?
So we get 2 payments a year for mortgage tax. We get one in December, and we get one in June or May, depends on when the county sends it to us, which gets booked back. We only received our one payment so far for the $129,299.67. The second payment will come, like I said, mid-May to early June. And like I said, it gets booked back to this fiscal year because it's for this period of time.
Okay.
So the actual in 22-23, in case you're wondering why that's so much higher, it's because the second payment for that particular fiscal year came after we closed our books, so I couldn't book it back. So the year before, which is 21-22, there was only half of what should have been.
I understood.
But because it came so late, I couldn't book it back.
Okay,
Does that answer your question?
yes, thank you.
Awesome. Any other questions about the general fund revenues?
The last one.
Interfund transfer.
5031 interfund transfer.
Yep, that is not budgeted for. That is money that is spent from reserve during the fiscal year. So if we have, like, for example, in 22-23, we spent $800,000 from fire department reserve to put the down payment on the ladder truck, which just came last week. It's beautiful. This year, we have spent money from the reserves to repair the roof over the bay in this building. So you wouldn't budget for that because that would just be what you're spending from reserves.
But this indicates you don't have any interfund transfer scheduled for 25, 26 now. Is that correct?
Correct.
I have one question.
Sure, Matt.
For sale of equipment, the truck that we put up for sale, it was forgetting what it was. It wasn't a water department truck, right?
We haven't put any truck up for sale.
Yeah, but we were gonna, right?
What's the question?
Well, if we did, it would be in the water fund. This is the general fund.
Okay, I got
If
it.
you're asking about the water truck. And that's going to be in the current fiscal year, not the fiscal year we're talking about now.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anyone else have any questions about revenues for general fund? If not, we can move on to the next fund, next line, which is the budget for the village board expenses. Starts on the bottom, 2 lines on the bottom, and it continues over to the next page. The only change I want to highlight in this one is that I removed the Climate Smart from your budget, and I created its own budget later on in the budget because of it being something that is sticking around for quite some time now. So I decided to be more accountable to the taxpayers, and I separated out their line items. So you'll see that later where it says C8090. And then, of course, we added Cromwell Lake. Any questions about Village Board?
The Cromwell Lake.
Yep.
So Cromwell Lake, this 35,000 is for the first phase of the work? or
Based on
is
the
it-
quote received,
So at
yes.
this point, there's no work scheduled this fiscal year?
The quote that you received, that you all got in your packets when it was approved, says that the work begins in June or July, I think it was. So that would be next fiscal year.
Thank you.
Okay? Next is the mayor's budget. There's no change in that. Just yell out as I'm going. Audit expense, there's no change in that. Well, it did go down because it came in a little bit higher this year, 660, because of the ARPA requirements that needed to be done. The ARPA is all done and gone. We did our filing for that audit, that's done. Treasurer, so as you know, I'm here full-time now, and I decided to break out what used to all be under the village clerk budget, break out myself, Claudia, and Jessica, so that there's more accountability to the taxpayers and to you guys as well. So you'll see a couple of new line items in all 3 of our budgets, or some zeros that used to not be in that used to be just in Jessica's budget. So that is treasurer, tax collector, and village clerk. Sure, go for it.
I just, and under treasurer,
Yep.
this is your line only, and Claudia's in,
So treasurer for .100 is me and a portion of Claudia,
a portion.
because Claudia is the deputy village clerk, treasurer, tax collector. So
I
a
know
third
who
of her,
Claudia is. I just wanted,
I'm just explaining so everybody
it's a
understands.
half a person.
Well, no, a third of her comes out of treasurer, a third comes out of tax collection, and a third comes out of village clerk.
Oh, I see, okay.
Yep. And then, like I said, I wanted it to be more accountable to you guys. So we separated a couple of things, like office supplies from the treasurer. That's really checks. Checks are so stupidly expensive. But we write a lot of checks, as you see when you do your abstract. So we separated that out. And tax collection, the only thing new there is that Claudia is going to go to the tax collection school. It's the first year she's going. A lot of changes. I don't know if you're aware, but there are a lot of changes in legislation when it comes to tax collection. For example, now everybody has to get a receipt. Used to be when you paid with escrow, just the bank got the receipt. Now she's required to not only send the bank a receipt, but she's also required to send all homeowners a receipt too. So that increased our postage for that, obviously, and whatnot. So that's that. Budget officer stayed the same. Village clerk, the equipment, the printer, scanner, copier we have in there is 8 years old, and it's getting fixed just about every other month, so I put in money to budget buy a new one. Hopefully we might not need it, but we probably will because it is pretty much dying. Other than that, our line items have gone down. We have attorney. We have a new line item in here.
Just
Under-
under village clerk?
Sure.
So that
Which number?
also includes, well, it's 1410-100.
100, that includes
So-
a third of Claudia
Third
and
of
Jessica.
Claudia, okay. And the other third of Claudia? is in,
A third in tax collection, a third in treasurer, and a third in village clerk.
so tax collection is actually 1/3 of a person. There's only one person on tax collection?
So Claudia is the tax collector. Yep. And she's also the deputy village clerk and the
No, no,
deputy
no,
treasurer. Right.
That's all, I just wanted, so there's only one person on that tax collection line?
On that line item, that's a third of her.
That's
Just a
one-
third of her,
thank you.
yes. I mean, we all jump in when needed, but
No, I
for
understand.
purposes, she's the one who the
Budget-wise, yeah.
taxes come to. Yes, for budget-wise. I mean, I could try to calculate that a little differently if you wanted to, but I didn't want to get into pennies and dimes.
I just want to,
Okay. So village clerk,
who's on first?
yeah. Consultants, based on the history of the past 3 years, I did decrease quite a few of those. I want to point out that, again, for accountability purposes, I created a new line item for engineer highway so that Rob, his engineering needs used to fall under engineer contractual. So we separated it out so we can keep track of it better. And the reason it's the amount that it is, which he can explain to you later, has to do with Hazard Lane and Regal. But he can explain that to y'all later if you have any questions about that. But again, I just wanted to show better accountability for you and your taxpayers to show you where your money's going based on how it's being used. Any questions about consultants?
But it is a consultant. These are consultants.
This is
not
just
personnel
consultants.
fees.
Oh, no, it's just consultants. Personnel fees comes under the budget for personnel.
Where'd it go? I just had a question
Mm-hmm.
about the one above that, 406. the
Engineer
zoning
zoning?
board. No, zoning, yeah, no, engineer zoning board.
Yep. So that had never been something that was used before. This current year, the zoning board did have to refer an application to the engineer for some clarifications that they asked for. So there's usually not anything budget there, which is why there's nothing budget there for next year.
Okay.
So
all I wanna know.
that's okay.
That-
I just want to make sure
That's why
you're.
there's nothing there.
That's why there's nothing there. Yep. Okay, election expenses, obviously, unless you all know something I don't know, we don't have an election coming up. Records management, this is another one that I spread out a little more than what it was before so that we could be more accountable to the taxpayers and to you guys as well. Like FOIL expense should come under records management, plus the software that we are buying because we're not sharing with the town anymore. I negotiated a really great price for that. It's only $2,500 a year. And whatnot. Then we have central administration, which is kind of self-explanatory there. Some of these we are phasing out because we started a buildings and grounds department, which is next. A lot of items went down on that. That one we're still working on a history for because it is all new. Previously, a lot of these things just fell under one category, but since we purchased the Osweiler building, and again, for accountability purposes for you and the taxpayers, we separated everything out, so that's why you see BGVH. So anything VH is for this building, anything for BD, as in David, is for the building department building, and then the last 6 or 7 are just for the department itself. Go ahead.
Yes, on 418.
418, building reno, yep.
Yeah, I thought we had finished building renovation.
We did, that is to pave the parking lot. Yep,
That's needed.
thank you. Want to say that in the microphone so everybody could hear you?
There's a nice big pothole in their parking lot, so they definitely need that.
So that is a quote that Robert Blair got from Robert Wyant to figure out how much to pave the parking lot down there. I think it's striping also. Paving and striping? Yes. Yes. Paving and striping of the building department was what the quote he got from. Thank you very much, Robert. I'm sorry? And that included curbs. Oh, it includes curbs too. Such a bargain. Anything else? Questions for building and grounds? Okay, central government. So this is your printing, your phone system, your IT, your insurance. A lot of that, again, is also based on a 3-year average. Some of it went down. Postage, of course, continues to go up because that's what happens with the postage system. Any questions?
Central government,
Central government, yes.
194400.
1940.400, purchase of land, yes. There's nothing in there.
Which is a question I thought we had just sent off commitment to the county to.
We did.
To buy land.
We did. That would be in this current fiscal year, not next fiscal year.
Well, so this purchase would be in this fiscal?
It would be
year?
before May 31st, yep.
Okay.
Okay. Fire department. The chief is here. Chief Burke is here. If you all have any questions for him on this, his budget has gone down.
Good evening, everyone.
Chief?
I get to stop talking for a little bit.
Not really, well, I'm not here for the whole meeting.
All right, Chris, it's all you. Does anybody have any questions for Chief Burke?
Well, yeah, how do you want to go through it, or how do you want to do it?
I have a question, but I don't want to do it that way.
Yeah, fine, that works. Sure. See if there's any questions on anything?
I had the question on 3410-200.
That's the refurbishing. I gave that to you right there. You have the quote there as well.
Because
Yes.
this year we had moved some equipment, I thought, money to the next fiscal year, or was that just the highway department?
That was just the highway department. That was not the fire department.
And this is just the pumper that we talked about before?
Yeah, this is for the tanker.
Tanker.
Yeah, which is 20-plus years old, so, yeah.
You need a mic. You need a microphone, Chris. I'm sorry. I know you don't want to use the microphone, but you kind of do.
Yep, this is for tanker 522. Can you guys hear me? Is this on? Testing, testing.
Just got to like talk into
Yeah.
it like this.
Yeah, no problem. Yes, this is for tanker 522. So we thought instead of replacing it, full replacement with the price now, this would be a much more economical option to keep it in good working order. Just for reference, you're probably talking about $1.5 million for a new tanker in that vicinity. So this is, we thought this was a better, yeah.
Want to know who's on first.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. I think that's all I have for that.
Does anyone else have any questions for Chief Burke on his budget?
Or Chief Wallace.
Or Chief Wallace? Yeah, sorry. Apologize.
He doesn't have a microphone.
All right.
Good?
Good?
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Building department is next. John, you want to get in the hot seat? You can just give it to Jessica. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay, so building department begins on the bottom of page 6, continues over to page 7. I don't know if those are the same numbers that you and Jim have because they are? Okay. Any questions for John?
Just what software you're,
So we're upgrading our Laserfish program. So it's cloud-based, so we can access it while we're in the field to make so we're more efficient, and so we have a better backup instead of having it just on our computer, which worries me.
It worries me too.
is that an annual or is it a one-time?
That is the one time for them to do the upgrade and the moving all of our files over to the cloud, and then it's a annual fee after that. We do not know the actual annual fee, but it's not until next year. That's the annual fees included in that for this year.
Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions for John?
Looking good.
Nobody? Thanks, John. Robert, you're up. Rob, you're up. Rob, you've been working out.
I have been. Do you notice?
I did. Microphone, please.
I'm sitting next to a bed fan, but that's okay.
Put us out. Okay, so Rob's budget is quite lengthy. It begins on the middle of page 7, and it continues to the top of page 9. The street lighting is not part of his budget, but the comptroller dictates codes, and it falls in the middle. So we'll skip over street lighting for him. Does anybody have any questions for Rob about his budget? If so, please list the item number so we know, because it's quite a big budget.
Yeah, 5010.200.
5010.200.
Fifty, 10, 200.
Yep, equipment, 57,000.
Equipment for office equipment?
Yep.
Administration, highway administration, yeah.
That's a good question, because my page is not updated. What did you have, Desiree?
5010.200 was for the generator.
Oh, yes, we have our generator is, need of replacement. Our current generator is from the original structure, which was built in 1999. Currently, the company we use for our generator can no longer get parts for that generator. So we have to upgrade the system, but if we upgrade the system, we're gonna go to an automatic, turnover, where right now we have a manual turnover, so if we need to switch over, so we're gonna go to an automatic turnover, and we're gonna try to solicit a grant for that, through one of the county legislators, or state legislators, if you will.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Is that on, yeah, is the fuel on that?
Natural gas.
All right, moving along. Anything else for him on page 7?
Well, this is the one that I guess you were talking about electricity. I wasn't sure what,
Electricity, 402.
yeah.
That's not increasing or decreasing, it's staying the same?
I'm just wondering, this is through February 28th, aren't we?
Which includes January's bill, not February's bill.
Right.
Yep, so I took a 3-year average. Last year, we ended at 28,800. Year before that, 31,160. So I feel 30,000 is still an acceptable amount. Do you agree, disagree?
I just thought that O&R got a 4% increase for next year. And
We are in a lock-in rate. We do a lock-in rate for our utilities.
not for distribution, I think you got.
For supply.
Energy, yeah, supply. The 4% is from distribution.
Did you want to increase this number?
I'm just wondering, at this point, I just want to try to get as close as
Sure.
possible.
I'm comfortable with this number, and if it does go up a little bit, a couple of hundred or even a small little couple of thousand, we could probably either use fund balance or we can get it somewhere else within his budget. But the good news is we wouldn't need to worry about that till end of the fiscal year, so we have a better picture of where we're at.
Also, Trustee Fryman, we've also upgraded all our lighting to LED lighting, so we're using less electric in that through our improvement program that we did.
Good,
Any other questions for page 7?
but no solar.
No solar yet.
I'm on 8, sorry.
Baby steps.
Matt wants us to turn to page 8.
What's that?
Matt's ready for
Get
page
yeah.
8.
Oh, you ready to go to
Wait.
page?
Yeah, no,
I got one more.
He's got one more for page 7.
Is gasoline used? That was the question. The only vehicles that are using gasoline are the chief cars, aren't they?
No, so gasoline used is my gasoline and diesel used.
And diesel.
Yeah, correct. So used is just the highway department.
Yeah, the chiefs the fire chiefs are in their own budget, Jim.
Okay, but I'm just wondering about that number.
Well, I only have 3 vehicles that use gasoline in the highway department, 4 vehicles.
Okay.
And then we also use gasoline, obviously, for our mixes when we mix 2-cycle oil.
So the diesel is all the trucks now?
Yeah, all my, and those 2 line items are just only the highway department. We bill
Understood.
out,
Okay.
you'll see the other line items for gas and diesel, that's when we bill out the users. The fire, the water and sewer, all the other departments.
Are we good on page 7?
Yep.
Excellent. Page 8. By the way, the other board members, you can feel free to ask questions. This isn't just Mr. Fryband's show.
Not, don't ask till Mickey.
All right, page 8. I know Matt had a question for page 8.
How were the prices for blacktopping and asphalt? I see we're going up a bit.
So anytime we do budget, I have to base it on last year's numbers because the county bid won't come out probably till the end of April.
Okay.
I know the bids were due last Thursday, so I'm hopeful that they'll come out by April, but still, I don't have that number so I based it on last year's numbers. But
Gotcha.
here's our proposed road construction listing.
Thank you.
Those are the roads that we hope to do this year. And if, you'll notice at the bottom, there's a negative balance, because we're hopeful that the CHIPS money from New York State will be going up this year, or Bridge New York grant will be going up this year.
Ooh, I hope so.
So if it does go up, we'll be able to add the one road in that we want to do this year.
And as a reminder, we can't put that number in the budget because it has to be exact. I'm reminding everybody, Jim, not just you.
Although this
I'm
is
sorry.
speaking
I
as
apologize.
a
I won't look at you.
local official, the state budget, I'm not sure if they're going up or down with that because there's a lot of uncertainty federally, and that is going to trickle down
Yeah,
to
I
the
know
state.
they had a huge turnout at Advocacy Day up at New York State at the
Okay.
Capitol. There was like over 700 highway superintendents there, and they had a good turnout and good conversation with all the assembly people.
Great to hear.
All right, any other questions for page 8?
This is a breakdown of all the departments and
I had one question also on this is 5110-469 for drainage pipe.
Yes. So we have a large culvert that needs to be replaced on Hazard Lane this year.
Okay.
So we got prices on doing that, but we're actually going to do the project in-house. So we're going to have the company fabricate the metal structure. We'll have engineering costs involved, and we're going to rent the machine, and we'll actually install this large culvert ourselves. So that'll save us probably,
Manpower, yeah.
will probably save us about $175,000 if we do that project in-house.
Great to hear. Thank you.
But this was the number I wondered about. So it's 195 for the,
Well, my normal drainage pipe, I always budget about 45,000. So
Right.
the project itself is going to be about $150,000.
Wow.
But that's going to include paving the entire road when we're done. Hazard Lane.
okay, so it's really more than, so that's actually part of it's in the blacktop, you're telling me.
Well, yes, I budget some of it out of blacktop. You'll see on one of the sheets, I budget some of it out of blacktop, and it's the main structure, and anything involved in the structure will be coming out of drainage pipe because it is technically a drainage culvert.
Okay. So I just want to make sure this is all in, this isn't just to put a lot of drainage pipe aside, this is for a specific project.
It's specific project and my drainage pipe for the
Usual
year.
stuff.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
And here it is broken down what projects we'll be doing this year.
Great.
Okay?
Thank
You can keep that.
Anything else on page 8?
Yeah, this is page 8.
About 5130 down 200. Thanks, Sue.
5130, machinery equipment. So machinery equipment,
What are we buying this year?
all kinds of goodies. So I do a 6-year replacement program. So next year, we're going to be replacing one of our large trucks, which are very expensive. Now, obviously, we know that going through the fire truck. So a large truck is about $287,000, and then a small truck is about $118,000.
You have a page on that, too. Yeah, I'm showing Sue.
Okay, I see. You have everything.
But I was trying to,
Can I blow my nose real quick?
actually, you don't need to ask me, you can do that whenever you need to. I'm just trying to understand, we moved some money for that truck out of this year's budget.
Not these trucks.
not
So
these
we
trucks.
moved 2,000, what the truck I was supposed to purchase in 2024 that we budgeted for this time last year
Yes.
will not be delivered before June. Therefore, I had to put it into a reserve fund, so when it is delivered, the money is there to be paid that bill, because we already gave them an agreement that we would be purchasing that vehicle.
Okay, so, to you, why isn't that purchase in this same line?
I'm sorry, when you say you, do you mean me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a name, sorry. Because when the purchase comes in, we will do a budget modification to recognize the funds coming out of the reserves and into this line item. And at that point, your previous question that you had on the interfund transfer line, which is 5031, that number will show up there as a revenue coming in, and it'll match an expense going out. But until we get the final bill,
No, I'm just wanted to make sure that I knew what this was for versus the other truck.
yep,
And then the budget, what we budget for now will be the 2 trucks coming up in this current season.
That was another.
Right. These 2 trucks. So we're replacing T13 and T18. I have the the numbers here, and I also have the quotes in the packet if you ever need the quotes from the, and then we try to budget out at least 6 years, so you kind of know what we're gonna be getting into for the next 6 years.
So this is
That'd be-
all I'm really dealing with at the moment. Thank you. Can we go past,
Actually, you'll only be dealing with this, Jim, because this is 2026, 2027.
oh,
Okay, so you're only gonna be dealing with these two and 225. I should put a -26 there, I'll correct that.
okay. I have a question on another one of the machinery items listed. This is another gas line. It's 513448.
51 what?
513448, gas received.
So those are gas received and diesel received is where we bill out, we bill out to the other municipalities.
That's the amount that you pay Cargill?
Cargill, correct.
For actual,
And then the
right.
revenue lines, yeah.
Right, and then if you look back to the revenue, 2,300, transportation services, other government, so we have 120,000 budgeted there. That's part of the revenue that we receive to offset that, and that's the money we get from the police department, the ambulance, the animal control, the water, sewer, fire. No, building and grounds has their own gas.
That's what those two numbers are.
Supervisor's car. Yep.
Well, the thing that struck me was 513456 is repairs on the gas pump.
So gas pump maintenance, we have a computerized gas pump program that we have to use. This year, we're increasing it a little bit because we have to upgrade our software to the pumps. So it's a key fob system, so everybody has a key fob.
Okay, so it's not actually the pumps that are being repaired.
No, but it's the
control
computer,
system.
the control system, because we have to keep tight numbers on our controlling the fuel and gas for New York State. So we have to check the tanks, make
And
sure.
for us, for our people.
We have two 4,000-gallon tanks, so we have a 4,000-gallon tank in diesel and a 4,000-gallon tank in gas.
I just was trying to get an idea of the overhead for that.
It's gas pump maintenance actually is pretty minimal considering how many people pull out of those pumps. But nonetheless, we're gonna be upgrading some of the software systems this year.
Any other questions on page 8?
I got for the snowplow equipment. What are we buying for snowplows? I see at 5,000. We're going.
5142.200.
Yeah, sorry.
It's gone up 5,000.
So we are going to be purchasing a new plow for one of our trucks that got damaged this year.
Oh.
So we will, the plow was actually 10,000, but we're only gonna increase it by 5 because I'm gonna use 5 from the current, what we usually budget for that plow.
Awesome. Thank you.
Anyone else on page 8?
I want to actually let you go first.
What's that?
What do you got, Jim?
Salt and liquid calcium, yeah, we used quite a bit of calcium. It was a lot of small storms this year, so, it's really, we call them salt wasters because you just have the salt,
Matt, you go ahead.
And I'll give you a list on that too.
Going back to for proposed road construction. I'll let him finish that first. Yeah. Sorry. So going back to the proposed road construction, I see you're doing Jones. It's milling and filling mostly holes, potholes, and you're redoing the curbs, or you're
So we'll be
redoing the
milling the
whole.
entire road down
Okay.
1.5 inches.
Okay, I got
And
you.
then we're
got you.
putting 2 inches back. So we're
Awesome.
gonna increase.
So it's a complete redoing the
Complete.
road. Okay, awesome.
But I want to be clear, I know that was, a lot of people were complaining
Lot of
about that.
complaints, yes.
But the problem is when you repave a road of such nature, now you're going to be dealing with a speed problem. Because now people are going to pick up speed going down the road. Now that's the next thing we're going to hear about after we pave the road is everyone's going too fast.
And what's the speed bump?
Huh? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
No speed bumps.
Okay, we're just going to skip over street lighting for right now because that's not Rob's budget. Go move on to sidewalks on the top of page 9. And that would be it for Rob. Any other questions for Rob?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll circle back to street lighting. On the bottom of page 8 is the street lighting for West Point Farms. On the top of page 9 is the street lighting for all the other streets.
Or just an average. because
Sure.
we'll get those-
I would love a question.
Okay. Question for me?
No, this is, unless you're in mind, this is
Vic.
WPF street lighting charges.
Yep.
I'm trying to understand the numbers here.
Sure, let me explain it a little bit for you, and then maybe that'll help. And Rob, you may want to just hang out just for this for one real quick.
Okay.
So the streets in West Point Farms, which is two streets, Montesi and Appison Trail,
And the Greens of Woodbury.
but that doesn't come out of this one.
Okay.
West Point Farms. The lights there, we actually own the lights. We only own the lights there and in Greens of Woodbury. All the other lights are owned by Orange and Rockland.
And also, West Point Farms too, we own those lights as well.
That's West, right.
Oh,
West Point Farm.
West Point Farms,
Yeah.
yeah. So we own Montesi, Appison.
Right.
We own Greens of Woodbury 2 and Greens of Woodbury 1.
Correct. Sorry, when I said Greens of Woodbury, I meant them both, but thank you.
Approximately 70 lights, 60 lights that we own.
Right, but you're just asking,
Poles and everything.
but he's just asking about West Point Farms.
Okay.
So West Point Farms, when that development was approved, they had the lights that were just for them, and the developer had to post an escrow that would be drawn upon for the electric bills for that particular development, as well as any replacement lights. That escrow exhausted several years ago. So we have kept it separate because we had to keep it separate to account for the escrow spending, and it's just remained that way. We can combine it all into one, which would make my life easier, but we don't have to. So the reason the numbers fluctuate is because in 22, 23, we had to replace, I think it was 2 lights there
In Greens of Woodbury.
in West Point Farms.
West Point Farms. And then we also had to do, we had to do 3 repairs there this year as well.
Yes. So that number is not just for the electric for that development, it's also for the lights themselves when they have to be replaced. The Greens of Woodbury and Greens of Woodbury 2 fall under the next line item, 4.1.401, because they didn't have a special escrow set up for them. Does that answer your question?
It does. I was just trying to understand, because the amended budget was $6,000, and then it dropped down to $3,000.
Yeah, because we can't predict if a light's going to break or not. So my thought was, based on the past 3 years, I think 3,000 would be a sufficient number to put in, and then if a light does break, we can always do, and I think you have a backup light, right?
So also, Greens of Woodbury 1, Greens of Woodbury 1, they got all brand-new lights 2 years ago. So all those leftover parts and those old lights are the same light poles that are in
I see.
West Point Farms.
Right, West Point Farm. So I have all the old lights. I probably have 16 units that I can use there. So that's probably another reason why we decreased that line item too, because I have all the parts. We just have to use the electricity to install most of that.
So but the second line is the other 3?
Is every other light in the village, which we have about 800 and change. So that's all the electric charges,
Strictly electric? Or
electric and supply.
because they do all the repairs?
They do because they own those lights. Yep.
So keeping with the topic of lights, or I know with O&R or for us, or any of them, I think Cornwall had a program where they were able to actually put the lights on like dimmers or timers with all the LED lights through Climate Smart, and they got some type of credit
Well,
for that.
they do from kind of like dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
And then most of all the lights in Woodbury have been replaced to LED.
Yeah, that was all of them have.
All of them.
Yeah.
And that was a project that you and I did about 4 or 5 years ago. Yep. All right, anything else? You're good, Rob.
Okay.
Page 9, zoning board, planning board, climate smart beautification. Again, climate smart is new. I broke it down, separated it out so that it was more accountable based on how active Lisa and her group are. Other than that, most items on this page have gone down.
Are we down to planning board yet?
We can be, sure.
And escrow payments, we're not accounting for escrows as a budget item anymore?
We never did. We never, because it's a wash, yes.
Yeah, I thought you told me before that we had to do that
That was only for chips.
for,
Only for chips. For chips is the only one that once that money comes in, we have to account to the penny, because when I send my report to the comptroller every year, we have to show it separated out. Escrow is a wash, and it has what that is. That line item matches the revenue line item on the back in the beginning, number 2116. That is the funds that are paid from the escrow accounts for the planning board applications. So there's a matching revenue and a matching expense.
Good.
Anything else on page 9? Page 10.
Second, 10 is 9, yeah, 90, 10. Oh,
Go ahead.
it's actually the very bottom
Okay, sure.
of page 9.
Bottom of page 9, that's retirement system. That's from the state of New York.
Is this something that they have already given us a number for next?
They have not. Their budget estimate does not come out until November. And then the bill, if you pay it by December 15th, you get a discount, which we always do. Otherwise, it's due by the middle of January. So it's not a number that they give us. So I take a 3-year average. It's based on salaries reported to the retirement system. And it's a mandatory requirement. It's one of those state mandated things. I wish I got a number, but unfortunately I don't. Town runs into the same problem because they do their budget in October and we don't get the number till the end of November. You're very welcome. And the last page for the general fund is page 10, which is, go ahead.
909-102,
909.
indebtedness.
number.
A909.102.
909.
That's a transfer.
Oh, those are the reserve fund transfers? So the fire department is normally 150. We increased it to 200,000 this year to put into the reserve to replenish it since we spent a lot of the money from the reserve on the ladder truck. And again, I know your train of thought about that. This has been our practice. Obviously, if you all want to change it, you can. Highway department, again, is to put reserves in for Rob's equipment, and then he also has one for road improvement.
See, this is where I thought we had some way to account for what we moved from this year to,
So it's an expense because you're taking it out of the general fund and you're putting it into a separate bank account. The capital reserves pursuant to the comptroller's office has to be in a separate bank account. It cannot be part of your operating account. So we have a separate bank account. It's actually even a separate bank. Your reserve funds are in Lakeland, now Provident, whereas your operating money is in Webster. So we keep it extremely separate like we're required to do. So this is to show the expense of writing. I actually write a check from the general fund and deposit it into the reserve fund.
okay, but I was talking about the truck that we had in this year's budget, and you moved that money.
I haven't moved it yet.
You said-
We did a budget modification. It shows it there in the 24-25 column. But if you the column right before it, it's not shown as being an expenditure yet. That's being done this month.
But it's not showing up in 25, 26 though, isn't it, when we're going to actually spend the money?
Yes, and when that bill comes in, we're going to do a budget modification, and we're going to do it to the penny, expending the money from the reserve and putting it into his equipment line item. So alternatively, I could put the numbers in now, but we don't have a final bill. So whether you do 0 now or you do 250 there, it's it nets zero.
Yeah, I thought we did have a bill, because
But it's still nets zero. Whether we do 0, I'd rather account for it when it actually comes in so that you guys actually see it being accounted for rather than just putting it here. And that has been our practice. Anything that has a wash, we don't budget for it, and then we do a modification to account for it at the time.
thank you.
All right? Any other questions for general fund? If not, we're going to get Mickey and Jason up here, and we're going to have a fun time. So for the record, there was no changes made to the general fund budget. Okay? And based on that, the numbers on the cover sheet for general fund remain the same. Okay? Excellent. Okay, so as a reminder, for those of you that may not remember, a lot of Mickey's expenses are split either 50-50 between consolidated water, consolidated sewer. Some are split 25, 25, 25, 25 amongst all 4 funds. Some have different ratios depending on the item. So you may hear a lot of repetitive stuff as we go back and forth. You may have to flip a lot back and forth between the two funds. But that's just how government accounting works, and I apologize in advance on behalf of the Comptroller's Office. Okay, so consolidated water. The first part on page 11 is the revenues for consolidated water anticipated. There's not a whole lot of changes here. We are recognizing the interfund transfer because that would be the bond payment. That was money left over from the bond taken in 2017 that's used to reduce. You can only use that money to pay for the debt incurred for that amount.
Can we start at the beginning?
You can start at the beginning. Go for it.
This line, I'm just not sure.
Sure, which is it?
What assessments do we do ad valorem for the?
That's the tax levy.
What?
The tax levy, that's the amount that you're taxing the district on your taxes. It's just called differently, again, comptroller. That's the name that the comptroller gives it for special utility areas.
But aren't these unit costs that we're?
No. Nope, consolidated water is ad valorem. Consolidated water is ad valorem, and the other ones are unit.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
This is 2710, that's what you think you're talking about.
2710? Nope, I'm not talking about that. I was talking about 5031, but we can talk about 2710. 2710 is the interest that is earned on the debt. So we're obviously going to have money this year because we took out a $10 million bond. Of that amount, some of it is consolidated water. It has to be accounted for separately, tracked separately. And this is the amount that I am estimating earning on that because we obviously aren't spending all that money day one because things have to be ordered and we need approvals from the Department of Health, all of which is being worked on currently. But of the $10 million that we're borrowing, 3,360,000 is for consolidated water. And I'm estimating it could be higher. It all depends on how the expenses come in for that fund and how much money is in the account earning interest on that fund. But that will also be in one of those higher money markets.
Right, in this, which bank is that?
That would be Webster.
Okay.
Anyone else have any questions about revenues for consolidated water? Okay, moving on to expenses on page 11, bottom half. Are there any questions there?
I'm looking at 8310-402.
8310-402, electric. Uh-huh.
I think I was trying to figure out, through the end of February, we spent 71,000.
Yep, and that includes the bills through the middle of January. So in February, you pay your January bill.
And
So we
you're
still have-
expecting that's going to double by the end of the year.
I'm basing it on past year's experience. Last year, we ended at 207. The year before that, we ended at 190. Obviously, more electric is used in the wintertime. They're there more often because of the snow removal and whatnot. So based on the previous years, that's what I'm guessing. Like I said, we ended last year at 207, so I can't see us having less gear.
Also, Troutbrook's going to be running for a full year.
And Troutbrook's, yeah.
Yeah, O&R also with the Public Service Commission up in Albany, they were approved for a rate increase, I believe, of like, I'm
Yeah, I
misquoting
think,
here.
I think
Yeah.
James said that earlier tonight. Yeah. So I would not make it less than 200 if we spent 207 last year.
I think the thing that struck me was that it was.
No, I think we're fine.
It's been 71 all the way until the end of February, and all of a sudden.
But that's actually through the middle of January. So you have half of January, all of February, all of March, all of April, and all of May. So you have still several months coming in.
Okay.
Again, I mean, lowering it based on the past 2 years, I wouldn't recommend making it less than that amount.
I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, no, and I'm trying to give you the answers. Anything else on page 11? Yep.
Yeah, circling back to earlier, we were talking about the vac truck. So we sold the truck and we're getting a new truck, or
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
So again, that money that we sell the truck for will be in this current year's budget. And every year, Mickey replaces a vehicle, which is split 50-50 between, unless it's big sexy, between this fund and that fund and the other.
Thank you.
Yep. Because the jet vac is just for the sewer, right? Yeah. Anyone else have any questions for page 11? Mr. Fryban, I know you had a question about the compensated absences. Did you still have that question or no?
I did.
Okay, I can explain it to you if you'd like.
Yeah, who's
Okay,
leaving?
so Mickey's retiring, which is a bulk of the money that's budgeted there. And he has another employee within his department that is retiring, which includes a little bit of the money. Plus, he has an employee who is always at max, and pursuant to their union contract, they get paid out for 7 days over the max. So that total, based on the hourly rates that I'm estimating, it is at $150,000, which is split 50-50 between consolidated sewer, consolidated water, which is $75,000 each.
But I thought, didn't somebody leave this year? Department?
Nobody retired this year.
No,
Oh, no, we didn't.
no,
Okay.
we had a incident.
That's why there's no money budgeted for this year.
Okay.
Well, we budgeted $6,000 because of the one in current year, because of the 1 and 2 employees, because you do that also, who have exceeded the maximum in their contract. Yeah. So the reason it's higher than normal is because of Mickey and the other gentleman who's retiring. Any other questions on page 11?
Where is this? This is 8310.
Page 12.
One second, I'm lost here.
Okay.
Oh, it's 461. That's on the next page.
Page 12. That's the page we're on. Let's go for it. SCA service agreement.
Yeah. What exactly are we expending this?
That number has not changed, and final bills are not in yet.
Yes,
That's the water program, right?
it's our water program,
The water billing program.
the water billing program at the shop.
So that's an annual.
Annual fee, yep.
Okay.
Anything else on page 12?
Troutbrook well.
There's no money budgeted for that.
It's because it's built, right?
Yes, all done.
I guess that's why I was kind of surprised that there's no continuing, is this maintenance stuff and
No, that was to build Troutbrook well, well 12.
there's no continuing maintenance costs on it?
That would fall under O&M.
That goes into O&M.
So we had to separate the cost for Troutbrook well because we paid for a majority of it with ARPA funds. So because we paid with it with ARPA funds, we had to have a separate accountability for it. So that's why it has its own line item.
Okay.
Otherwise, it wouldn't have had its own line item. It would have been under his normal thing. You okay, Sue? So the only change I have for page 12, and that's because, like I said earlier this evening about the bond coming in, 0.702, 2025 bond interest. That amount is going to decrease. Jessica, you ready for this for the minutes? Because they're going to need to make a motion for this one. It's going to change from 157,080.
Which line? You on?
It's 9710.702. Yep. So it's going to change from 157,080 to 137,323. So once we finish talking about consolidated water, we are going to need to make a motion in a second to approve that change. And again, that's because the Debt, the bond was just settled this morning. Yeah.
If, I don't want to get you out of word here.
No, you
but
can-
Just going step back to 960-801, hospital, medical, dental. Mm-hmm. Is that changed due to the amendment to the contract?
Very small part of it. The other change is with Mickey retiring and his other man in his department retiring, they go from being, we have to hire 2 people to replace those 2 individuals. So, but they'll still be on the insurance because they'll be retired. So that's for the 2 new people coming in. But again, this matches on the consolidated sewer end. And I have to guesstimate that they're going to take family, which of course is a higher rate. So that's majority what that number accounts for. We're adding 2 more people to the health census. Possibly. Maybe they won't take insurance. I don't know. But I got a budget accordingly.
So you want a motion on the
Unless there's any other changes to consolidated water. Does anybody have anything else for consolidated water?
The pump increase, that's for new wells or for the?
What number is that,
Sorry,
Matthew?
It is FC 831 or 10.201 equipment pumps.
Oh, so we're going back to page 11?
Yeah, sorry.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
201, equipment and pumps?
Yes.
No, that's for repairs and replacements.
201 is for new pumps, but we are using some reserve funds for that, which is page, hang on, I will find it, 19. Nope, page, it doesn't have a page number. I don't know if it made it into yours because you didn't have the one I emailed you. But the one I emailed you had it. It would be after page, it would be page 17. The reserve schedule. We're using 45,000 from his reserves to offset the cost, and that's for 2 pumps at WP3, 2 impellers at Townsend, and a new panel at Upper Skyline. So 45,000 is budgeted as an expense, and 45,000 will be used from the reserve fund. Does that answer your question?
It does, thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else have any questions about consolidated water, FC? If not, then we do need a motion to make that amendment.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
You're still the mayor. You want me to do it? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so we're going to move on. I'm Caden. And I don't know, those are big shoes to fill. We are on Amder Park, yes. Amder Park, the little water district that is charged
big money.
by unit. But luckily, we will be connecting it to consolidated water with the bond that we did. So they won't be so small anymore.
No, spring of next year.
That's the worries me.
Okay, so this one is by unit, which is why it doesn't have an ad valorem. It has a special assessment code. Again, thank the comptroller. So any questions, and this is all on one page, so any questions on page 13? There will be an amendment as well on this one because of the bond.